But yeah. Anyway, this will be Spider-Man 2. Chris, you want to run down Spider-Man 2 for us?
Sure. Well, Spider-Man 2 continues the Mark Webb director-led trilogy or quadrilogy or quadrilogy, whatever the fuck. However many Spider-Man movies they're going to continue.
Spider-Man-ish movies he's going to continue.
Yeah, so that they never have to revert the rights back to Marvel. With Andrew Garfield playing Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, continues the story with Gwen Stacy. They're following the events of Spider-Man 1. Their relationship is a little bit of turmoil as Peter is kind of haunted by the ghost of Gwen Stacy's father.
Makes no sense, but okay.
While this is happening, Harry Osborn returns to New York. Apparently he's Peter's long lost friend. And he is now becoming the head of Oscorp while also simultaneously dealing with a horrible genetic disease that just killed his father. So he's trying to deal with that.
Spoiler alert, Chris!
While at the same time, Max Dillon, an unassuming electrician who works at Oscorp, unfortunately gets in an accident and becomes the supervillain Electro. At the same time as there's a Russian gangster in the city who is destroying things.
Trying to steal uranium.
Who's trying to steal uranium, and
by the way, that scene. Yeah, by the way, that scene, they'd all be dead.
There's so many moments where he T-bones a car where like Spider-Man just swings by and it's like everyone in that car is dead.
Yeah.
There's no way they're okay.
Well, that and, bouncing around weapons-grade uranium, not a good thing to be doing.
Well, they're no vials. They'll be okay.
No. You get one little contamination leak on that, but it's got cancer.
Little tiny vials. That's all they need.
They're not little tiny vials. They look like the ooze from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Except, I think orange. I think the only reason why they are orange is because they made it actually green, like usually what people say, is commonly what they consider uranium. They probably would have been sued by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I did see another trailer for that, by the way, which...
I have only seen one, and I'm not seeing any more. Hopefully I don't see any.
For some reason they gave Donatello glasses.
Oh, joy.
They need you to know he's the smart one. I'm shocked he doesn't have, he doesn't look exactly like fucking Jamie Foxx does in this movie before he turns into Electro.
So he gets, the stupid comb-over, too?
Yeah, he gets the comb-over and, gap in his teeth.
Well, he's always had the gap in his teeth. Well, if you go back towards some of the animated series.
Oh, okay.
He has
character does?
Yeah, sometimes he does, yeah.
I was like, I don't think Jamie Foxx does. Have I always thought he had straight teeth and he's been fucked up?
But let's see here. What can we get into that's not spoilers when it comes to this movie?
Okay, if you've seen the trailer,
you know everything.
You've already had the entire movie spoiled for you.
Yes. Except for one part, but you all know it's coming.
Yeah. So the best way to describe this movie is it's suffering from almost all the same problems that Spider-Man 3 had.
Yep.
Where that there's way too much going on, and there's not enough movie to hold all of it. There's too many villain plots. There's too many individual plots with Spider-Man himself, and everything just kind of gets a lot really cluttered.
They 100% Spider-Man 3 this whole thing, where you're just like, okay, if Spider-Man 3 was just about Sandman, or it would have been awesome.
Or fucking Green Goblin becoming James Franco becoming Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Or just Venom. It'd have been fine.
Well, not for me. It would have been. Because I fucking hate
Topher Grace?
No. No.
Toby Venom?
No, Toby Venom.
It'd have been fine there. And that's the same I feel with this one. I'm like, if you just
would have focused on Electro
stuff, all the Harry Osborn stuff.
They could have introduced Harry and been fine.
Introduce Harry because you need to, because he just shows up at the start of this movie and he's like, Peter, my lifelong friend.
Sorry, I've been at boarding school for 11 years, but we're still friends, right?
And by the way, Harry Osborn and everything related to the character in this, by far the worst part of the movie.
Well, I hate the guy playing him. He looks like a fucking little emo twat.
He's terrible. His acting's bad.
Do you understand what he's saying? half the time because he mumbles a lot.
Yeah, he mumbles a lot. His
Blah,
motivation
blah.
makes no sense. The makeup job on him is terrible. He looks
Didn't he look like
fucking-
Topher Grace at the end? Of like, if you remember
Yeah,
what he looked like.
He looks pretty bad. There's nothing about this character is good. Like, he has one kind of okay scene that I won't mention just because it's spoilers, but basically everything about this guy is just like dragging down the movie the whole way through. Jamie Foxx's Electro is okay. He's not amazing.
My problem is I like them because remember when we saw the pre-shots before the movie came out, so we saw what Electro looked like, and he looked horrible because we were like, well, hopefully they put CGI on him. Why'd you have to paint him blue if they were going to put CGI all over him?
I don't know.
For close-ups or something, but it didn't make any sense after what you see what he looks like in the movie. But I don't buy him as an engineer, but I buy him as Electro.
When he becomes Electro, he becomes a lot more interesting and cool. They kind of had to set him up.
He doesn't actually become interesting with Electro until after the meeting in Central Park, or not Central Park, but
Times Square.
Times Square.
Yeah,
Because that's where he gets like the voice and the rage and the anger. After that, he's good. He's all right. But before that, he's just like very meh and unassuming and boring.
I kind of like it though, just because it's different than what we've seen in a lot of these superhero movies. We generally don't get the kind of quiet, reserved guy who becomes the villain only.
Yeah, but I can't see Jamie Foxx as that guy.
Yeah, well, you could say that about a lot of the casting in this movie, where you're just like, I don't really see it in this guy. Why didn't you just get someone with?
It's like Andrew Garfield. I buy him 100% as Spider-Man. As Peter Parker, not at all. He's too pretty to be Peter Parker.
He is definitely one of those things where you're just like,
How is he
too fucking attractive and intelligent and smart to be the fucking everyman?
How are you the social outcast when you do everything? I mean, you're popular in school somewhat. You know, they show in the first movie they show no conflict with him at school except for one thing from I think that was Flash Thompson. Mm-hmm. We don't see anything that makes him. I almost called him Tobey Maguire.
That makes him Peter Parker. That makes him this outcast. That makes him the relatable everyman.
And that's the one thing I don't buy from him. That and I hate his hair.
Also, it's a little. I mean, this is something that I wasn't crazy about in the first Iron Man, Spider-Man.
We're horrible at this today.
Wherein that they made very evident that Spider-Man comes from a very poor background. And they gave you that impression of, look, Spider-Man's fucking home life kind of sucks. Not because his family is bad. His family is great, but they have no money. In this one, like, they do a thorough mention that, Aunt May needs to work 2 jobs to kind of keep everything afloat. Mm-hmm. But he still feels like he lives a pretty nice life. I mean,
Yeah.
They have their place. He clearly has enough money to keep working on all this bullshit.
Yeah, how does he fund all that stuff? He doesn't have a job, does he? Oh, but he sells some photos to Jonah Jameson.
And it's weird because I imagine
we don't see any of that though, which is really strange.
Yeah, I imagine they didn't show it because that scene was already done in the first trilogy. But I was like, do it again because
we have to
cooler scenes.
We have to reestablish that kind of shit in this movie.
Yeah.
Unless the first 3 movies are canon.
Yeah.
Which they're not.
That would be weird. If there's another Peter Parker who also got bitten by a radioactive spider and all the villains are coming back.
Well, that would mean that they would explain it with another dimension because that's how everything works in comic books.
For the most part, I think the movie isn't bad. There's just too much going on that keeps it from being particularly good.
I still absolutely love Emma Stone playing Gwen Stacy. I was getting to it, don't worry. It's the only character name I tried to remember because it's the only character I like in these movies. She's fun. Like in the trailer, you have that one scene where, Peter leaves her behind and, webs her hand to the thing and she yells out, "Peter!" and she covers her mouth. That's funny. And I can see somebody actually doing that who's actually dating Spider-Man, And she puts, I think, a lot more than everybody else does into these movies.
Which is a shame because she's great and she's kind of being wasted here a little bit if that's the case.
But nowhere wasted as Mary Jane was in the original trilogy.
Well, you got to get yourselves, somewhere.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst had to, she had to rocket that career off somewhere. Small Soldiers were leading her there. She was just gonna.
Well, she did off of what?
rocket
Legally
now.
Blonde and shit like that, though.
Was she? I didn't
think
watch
that was-
Legally Blonde because I don't have a vagina. So
I think that was her. Reese Witherspoon? Yeah, I think that was Legally Blonde that she was in. Those rocketed her up. And she was also in Batman.
was she? Kirsten Dunst?
Oh, Kirsten Dunst. I was getting Reese Witherspoon mixed with her.
I don't think Reese Witherspoon was in Batman either.
I'm
You're mixing her up with Katie Holmes.
No. I'm talking about the original trilogy Batman. She was in Batman and Robin.
Are you thinking of Alicia Silverstone?
Maybe.
Because I really don't think she was in any Batman movies.
Hold on.
No, she wasn't in any Batman movies. You're thinking of Alicia Silverstone.
Yep.
As Batgirl?
Yep.
As Alicia Silverstone.
God, she looks. These three actors look a lot alike to me. Fuck me. Oh well. My bad. I am terrible sometimes with faces. As we can,
it's understandable.
as we can see today. But yeah, this movie to me was just a whole lot of meh. I really do think they should have cut the Goblin. And, they should have introduced Harry Osborn today, to this movie. And gone with just Electro.
Yeah.
And it would have been...
Electro was enough to carry his own film. He's intimidating when he's the villain. He has motivation that makes him at least interesting to follow.
His powers are awesome.
Yeah. I mean, they fucking make him look unstoppable. So...
Yeah, he goes down like a puss, though.
Yeah, I mean, it just seemed weird. They were just like, all right, well, we don't have time for this. We got other things.
Yeah, we gotta fast forward to... We gotta wrap this up quick, so...
Yeah.
Which is bullshit.
You want to get into spoilers then?
Yeah, let's grade this motherfucker. Oh, by the way, web slinging in this movie looks amazing.
Very much so.
Fuck, what do I want to give it? C plus, maybe? C?
I'm going to give this
C.
a B minus because there's some scenes in this I really like. I particularly like when Spider-Man's doing heroic things, when he's just being Spider-Man.
He's being an asshole.
Like those, I like those a lot.
Like, no, I won't get into that, but it's the very beginning scene of the movie. But, I'll get into that right in spoilers. But, yeah, there's some scenes where you're just like, this guy's fun. And you understand why so many people like Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I think they nail Spider-Man. They nail him. But when they comes to everything else, they're like, fuck it.
There's one scene I want to mention where we get into spoilers, because it's the one scene that's probably my favorite in the movie, and it's such a minor scene.
All right. So then, let's get into spoilers. So you got a C, or you got a B minus from you, and a solid C from me. Mm-hmm. So, okay, but if you do not want to get spoiled for Spider-Man 2, get the fuck out now. Other than that,
Don't watch the trailer.
Yeah, don't watch the fucking trailer. If they've probably already seen the trailer. I think everybody at this point has seen the trailer. But
sure.
One of my favorite scenes is the very opening scene where he goes after Paul Giamatti's character, and like the first introduction where he knocks on the window of the car, and he's taunting basically essentially the Rhino through the window of the car. Mm-hmm. What was yours that you were talking about?
It's a scene where the kids are picking on the little kid with the fucking wind turbine. And, he scares him away and then, fixes up the turbine. He acts really impressed. Like, you built this? That's crazy. And for some reason, it's the fact he's like, I'll walk you home. That
Mm-hmm.
just, hit to, I can see why people like this character. Because it had been just enough if he saved the kid and then left. But it's the fact he's like, I'm going to walk this kid home.
Chris, did you have feels?
I had feels for that scene.
You had feels.
It made him a character. I was like, this fucking good-ass guy. He's gonna fucking
Till he
walk
takes the
that
mask
kid home.
off.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that Peter Parker has a side plot in this. He has two. He has one with Gwen Stacy and whether or not their relationship can keep going forward because he's haunted by the fact that Dennis Leary said, keep her out of this.
And the other one is...
And the other one is fucking...
Finding his father shit.
Yeah.
Which should have been wrapped up in the first movie when they introduced it.
And there's also probably another plot point, you're like, well, they have to follow up on that, right? That you're not hearing. And that is Spider-Man following the
Uncle Ben.
the killer of Uncle Ben.
We don't know who killed Uncle Ben, by the way, guys.
Yes.
I know you guys have been waiting for it since the last movie, but no, apparently he doesn't, like, Uncle Ben doesn't come up at all, other than
He's dead, and we're really sad
Aunt May.
about it.
No, Aunt May brings up Uncle Ben. That's the only time that he ever gets brought up is by Aunt May.
Yeah,
And
she only
you
just
feel
brings him
bad
up
for
to
her
be
too.
like, it would be super cool if Ben was here right now. Teardrop.
Yeah. Do you want to go back looking for his killer? No. Okay. Another teardrop.
Yeah, but the entire side plot about him finding out about his father's stuff, waste of time.
They
It
should have done that
absolutely
towards Ben instead.
It doesn't even make sense. Like he goes through all this and he's like, "Oh, I found out my DNA's in the spider," and
Well, it explains why nobody else becomes Spider-Man. In a sense.
but it's just one of those things. Just like I don't. Why is this still going? Like, why is so much of this movie devoted to like, and they try to make it like a national treasure kind of thing, where it's like, we got to find out the plot behind this detective work, and basically he's
The
just
calculator
like,
has the coins, and the coins lead you to a train, and a train leads you to...
Apparently, fucking Spider-Man's dad was so fucking in the know that he managed to fucking structure an entire historical monument into his fucking laboratory that somehow has an internet connection still running so it can upload the file that he sends out on the fucking plane at the start of the movie.
Yeah, that was the weird thing.
I don't get it. I was like, they used this the train that they used to move Roosevelt through when he was stricken with polio, so the public wouldn't have to see him like that. They use that as like, oh, that's the place where the lab is. I'm like, how did he fucking like just go in there and repurpose this? Did no one else have anything to say on this?
His dad must be rich as fuck
I think so.
to do that kind of overhauling in there. But I just don't get it how you can drop such a huge plot from Spider-Man 1. It's like them dropping the plot from Iron Man 1 to Iron Man 2 of him looking for his weapons. That infuriates me. Because it's the sole purpose of, like, Iron Man becomes Iron Man because of his weapons being sold to other people. Spider-Man becomes Spider-Man because of Uncle Ben dying.
Yeah, this is the motivation for the character.
And yet, both of these movies don't complete their main story quest, you know? Mm-hmm. It pisses me off. Apparently, maybe Vulture did it. That's why we haven't found it yet. We gotta wait till the next movie.
If you guys haven't heard, it's been confirmed now that there is going to be a Sinister Six movie in the works. And if you thought, well, that's fucking hearsay. That's never gonna really happen.
No.
Yeah, it's already fucking happened now. It's confirmed essentially.
This movie blatantly leads up to it.
Yeah.
Especially near the ending where basically Oz what's his name Norman Harry gets captured and he's in jail, and the man with the fedora from the last movie shows up again and starts talking to Harry, and Harry's like, well, we need to get not six guys. He didn't say six, but he says a small group of guys. And they go, where do we start? And he goes, well, there's something in the in the basement of Oscorp. And so he goes to Oscorp, and you see Doc Ock, the arms for Doc Ock, you see the wings for Vulture, and you see the suit for Rhino. And that's it.
And then presumably Green Goblin will be part of that group. Presumably Electro, and then the sixth spot remains to be seen. Who the fuck really cares? It's really going to be an interesting, because as it is right now, Spider-Man's not supposed to be in it at all, so I really don't know if they're like, yeah, you're just going to follow the villains around for 2.5 hours. Why wouldn't you be excited about that?
Well, we gotta have somebody in there that's up against them.
You're just like, maybe I'd be more excited if I gave a fuck about any of these villains. Like,
I give a fuck about some of them, but I already know they're fucked up. Like,
That's what I mean. Like,
Otto
like,
Octavius, love him, but he's fucked up already because he's an Oscorp production. Every villain in this movie is produced by Oscorp. If you take down Oscorp, the whole motivation for all these movies gets destroyed.
I mean, fuck, the world would be a better place. There'd be no need for superheroes. Fucking destroy Oscorp, and all the evil in the world stops manufacturing itself.
Yeah, apparently what we don't know is that Loki was sponsored by Oscorp in the Avengers movie.
Yeah. That's how he got there, the Oscorp dimensional port.
They created the Tesseract.
Yeah. You don't see the little Oscorp logo on the side of it?
Yeah. It's so preposterous that they are the sole reason for everything that's bad in this world. It doesn't make any sense. Because at that point, you shoehorn everything in to Oscorp.
Yeah, and there's small things in this too that just like when you look at them, they don't really add up. There's a point where Gwen Stacy meets Max, who becomes Electro before he becomes Electro, and then when she sees him in Times Square, she goes to investigate him and looks him up on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
The security force behind the group sees that she's looking up his name, immediately shuts her out, and goes to like shut her up, and
Mm-hmm.
she manages to escape. And then that just never comes up again. I was like, they know who you are.
Yeah, you
You're
work here.
employed for their fucking.
I'm pretty sure they have your home files.
Yeah, they could probably just go to your house or do something. Like they know that you're fucking looking this dude up and you ran away, so clearly something's up. But they never follow up on that.
Oh, and the Harry being pushed out of Oscorp felt contrived as fuck. To where
Everything with Harry feels bad. Everything with him feels off. There's basically because he shows up in this movie and they have to cover his entire character arc as like the C story in this movie. Mm-hmm. So he shows up, becomes friends with Peter, then they have to have their breakup. The motivations for which just don't make sense. I don't buy why he's so evil and upset.
Honestly,
that Spider-Man won't give him a vial of his blood when he's like what, 20? His dad clearly lived to like 60. Yeah. He's already like, I'm dying already. Like, what the fuck? When did this
Chris,
happen?
Thank you. You're reminding me of something. Okay, when his father dies, he hands him a little iPod Nano, right? And the whole time he's carrying around this iPod Nano and he's holding it and shit like that. And yet one day he just, at his desk, he puts it on his desk and it activates. I'm like, you've had that thing for at least 3 days and you never put it on your desk. Ever! In that 3 days, you never put it on your desk to do that.
Considering that everything in their fucking company is like an electronic screen you touch shit with, you'd figure at one point he just like, oh, maybe it just does this. Like, what else did he think it did?
It's so stupid.
There's cool scenes in this, though.
Yes, but the dumb ones are the ones that stick with you for the longest.
It's like,
at least for me, they do.
The ultimate way I can describe it is that this movie really makes me feel is I really wish that the rights for Spider-Man would go back to Marvel.
Oh yeah,
because I feel like Marvel could make, with the team that they have, their proven track record, I feel like they could take Spider-Man, do him right, and introduce him into that universe in a great way. Because there's so many points here where I'm like, they kind of almost have it, but the script is off, or they're trying too hard, or they're trying to be too much like Marvel with like this setup universe sort of thing, where they're like, oh, we're going to have a side movie into this movie. Like, I sit here and I kind of think like, this Sinister Six movie is going to fucking bomb if there's no Spider-Man in it.
I don't think so.
I can't see it making that much money.
I see it doing fine. Just because
if there's no Spider-Man in it.
Yeah.
Because look, Spider-Man. This movie's already getting critically panned. It's the only like rotten movie of the Spider-Man series on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, what 54%? I think I saw it
like that. And even then, it's still doing fine at the box office. Not amazing, but it's still doing fine. But that's just because Spider-Man's such a.
It's Spider-Man.
He's going to make that. I feel like if they make a Sinister Six movie, unless something crazy happens into it, like
they introduce Venom.
Venom's going to be in it, and he's fucking played by Robert Downey Jr. Not that, but like something on that caliber. They get some really big name actor to play.
What would you do? What would you do if? Okay, remember The Rock saying he's going to play somebody that we haven't seen before? What if What would you do if he was Venom?
Well, he signed with DC, but if he was like The Rock's going to be Venom, I'd probably see the shit out of that movie. Because I'm like, what? It's fucking The Rock as Venom. Come on. I couldn't imagine not seeing that.
I think it would be fun.
That's what I feel like they'd have to do. Because I feel like if you're going to try to make a Spider-Man movie with no Spider-Man, no one's going to care that much.
You got to have the protagonist and the antagonist, You got to have somebody that stands against these 6 guys.
Yeah.
He might not win, maybe setting him up for, a big final off, because, I'm assuming this is a Spider-Man trilogy. Setting him up for...
It's at least 4. They've reserved dates up to an Amazing Spider-Man 4.
Fuck me.
Yeah. That's what I mean when I'm like, the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy or quadrilogy or whatever the fuck they keep doing so they don't have to revert the rights back. That's all they're really doing.
Well, yeah, that's why they came up with this trilogy in the first place.
Yeah, they'll just keep making movies, so they're like, look, it's going to make money. and we don't have to get the rights back, and we get to keep making money off this.
I really wish that like companies like this that put their leases out like this or their rights out like this can revoke them.
I had this dream scenario where I was like, I want Marvel because it's gonna put out Avengers 2 next year.
Mm-hmm.
I want then it's probably gonna make like $1.5 billion again.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to just take all that money and be like, here's Sony, just take all this money you made from Avengers, give us fucking Spider-Man back. And they do it, and then they make a third Avengers movie, and it makes like $3 billion because Spider-Man's in it, and they're just like, good.
Everything's back to normal. And all we need.
Like, the X-Men at this point, I'm like, they wouldn't even really fit in this Marvel universe.
No, because we've already retconned them out.
Yeah,
we've already established that
they don't exist.
Yeah.
So, but Spider-Man easily could. He just isn't a hero up until the point where he's introduced into the universe. So I'm all for that, and he'd fit great in that universe.
Yeah,
but
I'd love to see him interact with Iron Man.
Oh yeah, I'd love to see him interact with the Avengers. I'd love to see him with the Avengers team, like hanging on fucking Hulk's shoulder and shit like that, or him fighting off Chitauri in New York. That'd be great scenes. But
he would have been so useful in that scene.
He would have been very helpful. There's moments where wow, he would have been really helpful getting rid of.
He would have been like fucking like made Hawkeye look like the most useless person in the entire world. Like he really would have diminished Hawkeye's impact in that movie. They're like, oh, Hawkeye shoots theirs? Oh, okay. Spider-Man's like killed like or brought down like 5,000 of these guys. Hawkeye's brought down what 12? They ran out of arrows.
Yeah, well, you know, he didn't have all of his explodey arrows yet.
Oh God, but okay, so we got to talk about Mary Jane, or not Mary Jane, but Gwen Stacy here.
We're gonna start talking about Mary Jane soon.
Sadly, next
movie.
If
you haven't heard,
Gwen Stacy's dead. She goes out not like she does in the comic, which is upsetting a little bit. I'm okay with where she goes because it was kind of a cool setting. Except it looks, convoluted as fuck. But I am just pissed how she goes. Because in the basically Goblin drops her a few times, or drops her once, and then Peter's basically fighting to make sure that she doesn't fall until the rope gets or the spider web gets cut by the gears of the clock tower they're in, and she falls. And basically, it's just Spider-Man jumps down after her to catch her. And at the last minute, he shoots out his web and grabs her, and she it hits her about stomach section, and she kind of bends backwards and bops her head on the floor. So we get two ideas of it's an ambiguous to what killed her, but Peter killed her no matter what in the end because he's the one that probably should have acted faster and used his bullet time that he didn't use before. Fucking stupid. But the way she dies in the actual comic book is that it's the force from that stop that snaps her neck, and there's no doubt about it that fucking Spider-Man killed her. And we lose the biggest thing of this movie of the interaction between Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Spider-Man and Green Goblin have been going at it for years, and then he gets this idea, and he goes after Gwen Stacy, and this is the lowest he's ever been. And Spider-Man goes after him and tries to stop him, and Gwen Stacy dies, and then pretty much Goblin is just taunting the shit out of him after this. And it would have been an amazing character moment to have in this movie. But no, we fuck it all up, and when basically the cable, the spiderweb gets cut, by the way, I hate him when he's holding the cable back or holding the gears back with his shoe. Fuck that. And basically the gear's all wonky and Osborn gets knocked out. I'm like, well, great. There's the taunting gone. And I would have liked that it was 100% set in stone that Peter did kill her, and it was clear as day that he did. Because knowing, I don't know if he really feels that he killed her.
No, they don't seem to suggest that that's the case.
Yeah, because that would be a huge tonal shift for him, and that would have been like something big for him. Like, I'll never let this happen again, blah, 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 and, motivation for other stuff to happen. But we don't get it, And it pisses me off. They had so much they could do there, and they didn't do a damn thing.
I feel like the reason behind it, too, is that they don't want Spider-Man to have killed somebody in this.
It's a kid movie, but they should have done it.
Yeah.
They should have done it because the story's there. I mean, the story's actually written for you.
And you're going to clearly take this scene from the comics. You're clearly going to take that Gwen Stacy dies because of Green Goblin's actions. Spider-Man tries to save her.
It's basically it's Green Goblin's actions and Spider-Man's inaction to do something.
Yeah, and she dies because of a fall that affects her. You know, it's everything's set up for that.
Yeah, but they don't do the payoff for it. Like the reason why they did it, they didn't do any of that. So I just felt like it was useless. I mean, like hell, if that scene didn't happen, nothing changes, nothing. Mm-hmm. I mean, the ending's a little different because we lose 5 minutes of it, which would have been probably good.
It doesn't end in the very right spot for it because it has to end.
It should have ended when the scenes were flashing between Peter standing at the grave.
It would have been there, or it should have ended. Gwen dying should have happened about 20 minutes earlier in the movie. So Peter going through everything that he needs to resolve himself doesn't happen in the span of about 5 minutes and then end on a happy, wacky note. Yeah,
it doesn't make any sense that this movie ends on a happy note. At all.
Because she dies basically about 10, 15 minutes before the movie's done.
Yeah.
But they still have to wrap up Peter getting back into motion so that he can go fight the Rhino at the very end.
I would have had it end on the sad note and then have something amazing for 3. Like him. This is basically Spider. Like we're sitting there like, so are they gonna make another one? Or when are we gonna see Spider-Man's triumphant return? And that build up between 2 and 3 would have been huge because of that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, they're like, no, he gets over it in about 6 months. I'm like, dude, if my girlfriend died, I would not be over that in 6 months.
Yeah, they're not gonna bother with that. That's not gonna do that.
And by the way, this movie ends the exact same way Spider-Man 1 does, with the part, basically the moral of the movie being told to you via recording from his loved one.
His fucking, it's her graduation speech, which if you weren't sure she was going to die, you're pretty sure she's going to die based off her graduation speech being like, we all die one day. All of us. Like the people here talking.
If you don't get it by then, you get it when Harry meets her in the elevator. When she's running away. And she's like, oh, you're Gwen Stacy, you're Peter Parker's, friend and stuff like that. And
it's like, it's tough because, I feel like I shouldn't always compare this to the previous trilogy, but god damn it, was fucking Green Goblin finding out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man much more interesting in the fucking trilogy. When he doesn't just see, like, her, fucking him and Gwen Stacy's like, you must be Spider-Man. Like, fucking James Franco has that moment where he's like, Peter knew about this. This has been Peter all along. Like, that was such an awesome moment. Here you're just like, oh, I guess he's just gonna figure it out.
Yeah, I like James Franco in the original trilogy.
Yeah.
He's fun. I mean, like he's an overactor of fuck, but he was fun in that movie. I liked him. He made a good Goblin. Mm-hmm. But in this movie, yeah, little emo twat face. Not a good Goblin. No, not a good Osborn.
Oh God, no.
My God, this movie is just everywhere, and then we end with the worst acting put to a Marvel movie ever. With Paul Giamatti finally in the Rhino suit and taunting a 7-year-old in a Spider-Man suit.
I don't know why every Spider-Man movie needs to do it, but they need to have.
They did it twice in this movie, by the way.
Yeah, they need to have the scene where the city stands with Spider-Man. Yeah, it happened in the first one with all the fucking cranes, and the first Spider-Man movie is, they're all throwing fucking trash at Green Goblin, like, you mess with one New Yorker, you mess with all of us, oh! By the way, did you notice in certain scenes, it's like they were trying to make Andrew Garfield a little bit Brooklyn? When he'd be like talking to me, he'd be like, look, Aunt May, I gotta get going out there.
I did notice that now.
It's like a couple of times, I was like, he's not Italian, why are they trying to do this? Hey, Mom, I gotta get out there. The fucking rhino's wrecking shit downtown and my spider things are broken. Oh! But yeah, the little kid standing in front of the rhino was just such a cheesy scene.
There's a cop that's getting fired for that.
Yeah, there's a lot of cops who are just like, nobody move. Just like Spider-Man. It's not like the kid has super speed. Just one cop has to be like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing? Get the
'Cause-
back there.
But you know what I find hilarious though? This harks back to the New York, the Streets of New York one with the introduction of Electro. Crowds getting together to watch a villain destroy the city.
That bothered me too. I was like, why are there so many crowds here for this? Like, I know
I found it amazing that how fast the police set up a barricade.
Yeah.
From the minute he shows up to like maybe 35 seconds later, barricade, crowd, news cameras.
And everyone's standing there. I was like, if I'm the villain, I just fire one fucking bullet into that crowd.
Yeah.
I've killed 50 people.
Yeah.
Like,
It doesn't make any sense. I'm like, who? Like, I don't know if it's just an
guys, you're
American.
not watching Spider-Man fucking turn off the dark. This is an actual fucking event.
Yeah. It's so stupid. I'm like, apparently, if you send this to like foreigners, like Americans are dumb. I'm like, yep. It's just asinine that these people are sitting there and like they're cheering for Spider-Man. I'm like, if I was the villain there, I'm like, the minute you start cheering for Spider-Man, I'm like, this sucks for you. Zap. I hope everybody learned their lesson. That's still alive. Cheer for me, please. Thank you.
Get that? Yoink.
I would have pulled a Ben Kingsley from Iron Man 3 on that. I love the more I watch that movie, Iron Man 3, I like Ben Kingsley. Like, not when he's playing the Mandarin, but when he's playing himself.
When he's just like, oh,
He's drunk. And watching soccer and shit.
I just hit over here to get myself to another drink. But he's basically Russell Brand.
Yeah, fucking love it. It's just hilarious just watching him do that kind of shit. But I also like when he's playing the Mandarin because he's intimidating as fuck. You know, he's got that slow talk to him. He's got some good scenes where
Thankfully they saved since the trailers, because I remember when the trailers for that came out and I was like, "Don't ever
see it coming."
Coming.
But I like him in it. I just I don't like both of them in the same movie. You know.
Yeah.
I really wish drunk Ben Kingsley got his own movie and then Mandarin Ben Kingsley got his own movie too.
You know what the thing is though, that for a while, Bane was the winner of the silliest voice in a movie. I feel like Paul Giamatti as the Rhino has won it in this one, just for how much of a
horrible.
It's so much of a caricature. It's every Russian joke you could think of, where he's just like, "I am Rhino, I will break you."
Yeah, it does sound like he's suffering from some kind of mental disorder when he's talking, because he talks slow and fast at the same time, and half the time you don't understand what he's saying.
And it's all screamed. Yeah, it's all
he yells the whole thing.
Rhino.
It's so sad. Why'd he give the fat Russian guy the suit? Why don't you give it some built beefy dude that makes more sense?
It's one of the things,
somebody who's physically fit to use the suit, because I'm pretty sure it's not a very easy thing to use with how bulky it looks.
What qualified this fat fuck to be part of your Sinister Six? Why didn't you just grab someone like a fucking proven killer rather than some wacky dude? I'd have been like, hey,
yeah, literally they don't set him up as a big villain. They don't set him up like he's a guy to be feared at all.
I mean, I see him in his fucking underwear in this movie. I know he's not to be feared.
Yeah. My buddy that was on the left of me laughed when the gun hit him in the head and knocked him out. I'm like, you piece of shit. But this movie is a mess. But it would have been much better if they broke it up into two movies.
Yeah, I mean,
take the Harry Osborn and the Rhino shit, put it in its own movie, one movie, and then keep Electro to his own.
Yep.
Perfect. Fine. Done.
That's all you would need to do.
Yeah, it would have made the subplots for this movie a lot more manageable, and you probably would have spent more time on certain subplots that needed the time. I really think they should have done a little bit more with Gwen Stacy before they offed her. Because I like Gwen Stacy. I like her so much more than Mary Jane. Chris, do you like Mary Jane or Gwen Stacy here?
Mary Jane was the only one I grew up with because I didn't watch much of the show and I didn't know the comics. So the like I always thought Mary Jane was supposed to be like his love interest.
No.
But now seeing Gwen Stacy, I like her too. I mean, it depends on who they get to play Mary Jane in this next movie and how she is.
It's probably going to be Megan Fox.
That would be a pretty awful decision. But if that's what they go with, then yeah, Gwen Stacy a lot. But I mean, look, Emma Stone was great casting.
She was phenomenal.
Maybe they'll find. Ooh, what if it's Emma Watson as?
No, they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do
What
it.
if it is? What if it is?
They couldn't afford her. They couldn't afford her. Oh, you know right away I'd go see that movie then. Because Emma Watson's hot. Oh, internet connection. Chris gone. Guys, hold on. Maybe I have to disconnect and recall him. Oh, Chris. Chris. Sorry, guys. So how's everybody doing? Get to vamp for a little bit, because waiting on Chris. Oh my god, Chris! Holy dead air, man. Welcome back, Chris.
I love Skype sometimes.
We might need to change like Mumble or something. Because that's annoying.
I can imagine.
What were we talking? Oh, Emma Watson. They couldn't afford her, but if she was there, I'd see it because.
What if they're like, all right, Emma Watson's in this movie, and we gave her like $70 million.
Does she show her boobs?
Yes, she has a nude scene. She has a sex scene with Spider-Man.
Then no.
But he's in the costume, so you don't have to see his dick. Like his costume acts like a condom.
Like maybe. Yeah, because I really don't want to see Goofy Face.
Yeah, he has to wear at least the mask.
Yeah, he at least has to wear the mask.
Yeah, that'll happen. It's gonna be like the upside down kiss for the first Spider-Man, except it's an upside down blowjob.
Well, if we see her nipples like we saw, what's her name's from the first movie, then all's good, I guess. I have no idea.
By the way, for those of you who may have missed it, since Randy also missed it, it does seem that they are setting up for Black Cat in this as well.
Yeah, for some reason I did miss that. Which is alright.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like crazy. I never really knew too much about Black Cat. I just know a lot of chicks like to cosplay as her.
Yeah. Because it's, slutty.
Yeah. I don't really. I mean, there's sluttier outfits out there.
Oh,
I don't know why that one's like the particular go-to popular one, but I'm never gonna complain.
Yeah, it's like that in Black Canary. But I don't know. This movie is just so strange. Like the pacing's off. Weird. I mean, did you notice the weird cuts?
Yeah,
like
there are some weird.
Something really tragic and heartwarming, or something that's like really that needs to be soaked up. Immediately, to something stupid and silly.
Yeah.
Or something that's really threatening and like you're like, oh no! It's just, why do you hard cut like that? I really want to know if there's like a director's edition of this that doesn't have that shit.
There was also that really weird moment where he sits down in his bed after they break up, and that fucking Gone plays. I can't remember who does the song. I think it's like fucking, I don't know, like Philip Phillips or whatever.
It's Bastard Boys.
Like, and we're gonna go. It sounds like Tommy Your Life from Green Day for a moment. And like he hears that song, he's like, oh, I'm gonna look for my dad again. Starts putting shit on the wall. It's like the montage of the movie, but it lasts for like 30 seconds, and then he's done.
Yeah.
I was like, what's the point? Why did you bother with why did you pay the fucking enormous amount of money that had to come from licensing that song in a fucking movie to just use it for like 30 seconds and then be done?
Well, they could have used that movie for another fucking writer. How many? That's the where to go. Writers. Where did I see it? I gotta see this
There's
list again.
9 writers credited with this, though technically,
Bullshit.
technically 2 of them are Stan Lee and Steve Ditko.
Okay, get rid of those. Get rid of those. How many we got? So we got 6. 7.
Actually, it's only 4, because 3 of them are credited with screenplay, and then 4 of them are credited with screenplay and screen story. But 3 of those are the same people who are credited with screenplay as well.
Okay, so we got 4 guys.
Yeah.
It shows so bad in this movie. Because you got one guy's like, I want to put this in there, put this in there, put this in there. And then you got one guy's vision. Then you got another guy's vision here. And then you got another guy's vision here. Like, can't you guys just fire 2 of them, please? Because this movie would have been much better if you did, probably. Dear God. Though, I think Webb did a good job of like filming it. Like as far as like cinematography here, it looked good. Mm-hmm. Though I think the colors were a little bit too colorful sometimes.
Well, they're trying to go with a comic book.
Yeah, I get it, but every once in a while, it's just a little abrasive to the eye.
Yeah.
Where you get shell shocked to it, like when you go from like Aunt May's house to in the middle of Brooklyn, of New York, and it's like neons everywhere and the bright blue sky that they've had to Photoshop. But it's just a little bit jarring sometimes when you have that bright colors up against some mute colors of the house or something. But I think he did a good job at it. I just think that I really fault the writers for this. Really fault the writers for it. And
I don't fault the writers as much as the producers. I really feel like there is a ridiculous emphasis to get these Spider-Man movies out as quickly as possible.
Well,
and as often as possible.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what's really going to be harming these movies.
People from Sony are basically saying we need to shoehorn more. We need more.
Yeah.
We need more. We need to take whatever's in the first movie and then double it. So in the next movie, we're going to have like 17 villains.
It's going to be the Sinister Six in the next movie. Plus, like, 3 guys who weren't in the Sinister Six. I want to see if they can just get a movie post that has too many villains on it. Like, there's just not enough room for everybody else.
It'd be awesome. It's like it's a poster that you open it up. It's like a fold on the center, and then you realize that there's another fold on the sides, and you pull that out, and you're like, oh, cool. And then you realize there's another fold, and you pull that out, and it's like, well, does this ever fucking end? And just keep pulling out ends.
Fold. Like the side of half of my house.
Well, at least you have something to put between your 2 Captain America posters that you're gonna have in your room.
Yeah, boy.
Nerd. But yeah, this movie is one of those movies that I like to hate, but also like to like it in scenes.
There's moments that I really do legitimately think are good, and that's why I don't give this movie a failing grade. I give it a passing grade. Like,
I still gave it a passing. I think a C's passing,
yeah,
right?
But it's just one of those things that there's problems in this movie that it really could have used with fixing, and that's what kind of holds it back. And I sit there and I see these problems, I'm like, this is a lot of stuff that'd be probably tightened up and fixed if they worked with the Marvel movie, especially with the way Marvel's looking at their movies now. They're like, look, we don't need to push out a Spider-Man movie once every year. We can push it out once every 3 years, once every 4 years. We don't even need a Spider-Man movie right away. They could take their time and make it work. Get a script that they like, get actors they really like, and make it work.
Well, see, if they did push it out every year, you'd have what happened to Iron Man.
Yeah, that's the problem. That's the reason why Iron Man 2 was as bad as it was.
Iron Man 2 and 3 just are fucking terrible.
Iron Man 3 is bad for different reasons. I really feel that came down to the director and writing. But, they made their mistakes with the Iron Man franchise. But they're like, look, let's not push these out immediately. Let's take our time with this. Especially, it's something like fucking Guardians of the Galaxy makes money. And they're going to be like,
they can do no wrong at that point. If Guardian of the Galaxy is a hit, there's nothing they can introduce that's silly.
It doesn't even need to be a hit. If that makes $3.5 million, like 350, 400 million, that's making its budget back and then some. And they're like, that's all we need to do. Mm-hmm. We can just do like this sort of shit. We can start going with some kind of outlandish shit.
That's what Sony's doing with Spider-Man, though. They're just making their money back and then making another movie.
Yeah, but they're doing it because they have to do it once every 5 years, and now they're at the point where they're like, look, superhero movies are making so much money. Let's just do it as often as possible. Marvel has, all these different licenses and things to work with. All we can do is Spider-Man, so let's just get as many fucking Spider-Man movies out as possible.
Yep.
I think the next Spider-Man's already due out in like 2017 or something like that, or 20. Let me see when Amazing Spider-Man 3 is out because they've already cast it, I think.
Well, it's not that hard to cast it.
Or already set it up. Amazing Spider-Man 3, 2016. So that's
A year and a half from now.
only 2 years from now, yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's coming out in June 2016.
Ah, okay.
So that's actually coming out, what, like a fucking month after Captain America 3 and Superman versus Batman? That's a dumb as shit move.
They're gonna get their ass beat.
Yeah, they're gonna be fucked. So that's happening. I think fucking Amazing Spider-Man 4 has already been announced. I think that was announced to be like 2018. Like,
Well, yeah, when they announced the Iron Man trilogy, they announced actually all of their release dates.
Yeah.
Their tentative release dates for them. Same thing with the I think it was the original Batman, not the original, but the Nolan Batman series. I think they pre-released their tentative release dates were going to be.
Also, I know I always suck on the dick of Marvel Studios a lot, but I really do like that they've moved away from numbering their movies, because it's really, when we get to Spider-Man 4, you're going to start having trouble with the audience being like, I haven't seen Spider-Mans 1 through 3, why should I see this one?
Because none of the Spider-Mans are connected. None of the movies are connected to each other.
Yeah, but people aren't going to see it. They're just to see a number and be like, that's too big.
Yeah. But, yeah, this movie is like a really see-at-your-own-risk kind of thing.
If you really like Spider-Man, you're probably going to like it. I mean, it's going to suffer a lot of problems people have with these sort of movies where you're like, look, he's not in the suit enough, or...
The problem with this movie is that it doesn't know who its audience is. Because if its audience is the comic book fans, they bastardize it. Except for Spider-Man himself. But when it comes to people coming into it, they don't give them they shoehorn everything in and give them too much, and not giving a good enough story. They really fuck both sides of the coin here.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what sucks. I'm like, really, you got to pick one, and then give them the best experience for that one. And they do nothing for both. At all. You know, even though I'm talking so much negative about this movie, it's just that, you know, these are the things that I'm remembering. I did enjoy a lot of this movie, but a lot of it I really didn't. I had fun with a lot of scenes in this movie. Like, I really liked the web swinging. I really liked like the later half of Electro, even though they shoehorned his death in like nobody's business, because they blow him up with too much electricity. Which I'm like, well, wouldn't he just particleize again like he did all the other times? Because like we've already established that he can just, you know, jump around.
Yeah. That was one of those... And they kind of set it up to like, maybe he's dead. I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's not.
I'm like, I don't think how that would bother him. Like, oh, electricity, oh no, I'm just going to jump to a power cable. Done, fine, okay, I'm good.
Like, I don't know why they didn't just keep going with water. Like, I don't understand how he's like, I back your water with electricity.
Yeah.
I don't think... Does electricity have force to it? Is that how it works?
Oh,
Wouldn't you just be electrifying the own current that's just going to run into you anyway?
Yeah. That's what I would believe. I do know electricity does have a force to it, but I don't think, like, literally the ampage or the wattage that she should be putting out for that would be monumental. I mean, you're at that point calling down Thor's lightning. That would be a hilarious thing to happen. Thor versus Electro.
Well, I think he just hit him with a hammer a couple times.
Just bonk.
It's like, this is very easy. Your rogue gathering sucketh. Where is the man of many arms? I shall break them.
And Green Goblin sitting there knocked out. I'm okay. I don't suck. Look at my green hair.
Conk.
Das Fugenstrudel, please stop. I don't know why he's German or Swedish now. I don't know why I've been doing that. Like the whole fucking throughout the whole movie, I was doing this like stupid thing.
Because you're dumb. It's okay.
I don't know. I was entertaining myself because there's a lot of points in this movie I wasn't. But yeah, that's Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man. He wasn't that amazing, but okay. Amazing Spider-Man 2.
One in that car's dead.
Yeah.
There's no way they're okay.
Well, that and, you know, bouncing around weapons-grade uranium, not a good thing to be doing.
Well,
vials. They'll be okay.
No. You get one little contamination
little
leak
tiny
on that.
vial.
Everybody's got cancer.
Little tiny vials. That's all they need.
They're not little tiny vials. They look like the ooze from fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Except, I think orange. I think the only reason why they are orange is because they made it actually green, like usually what people say, is commonly what they consider uranium. They probably would have been sued by Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I did see another trailer for that, by the way, which...
I have only seen one, and I'm not seeing any more. Hopefully I don't see any.
It was... For some reason, they gave Donatello glasses.
Oh, joy.
They need you to know he's the smart one. I'm shocked he doesn't have, like, the fucking... He doesn't look exactly like fucking Jamie Foxx does in this movie before he turns into Electro.
So he gets, like, the stupid comb over, too?
Yeah, he gets the comb over and, like, gap in his teeth.
Well, he's always had the gap in his teeth. Well, if you go back towards the some of the animated series.
Oh, okay.
He has
the character does?
Yeah, sometimes he does, yeah.
I was like, I don't think Jamie Foxx does. Have I always thought he had straight teeth and he's been fucked up?
But let's see here. What can we get into that's not spoilers when it comes to this movie?
Okay, if you've seen the trailer,
you know everything.
You've already had the entire movie spoiled for you.
Yes. Except for one part, but you all know it's coming.
Yeah. So the best way to describe this movie is it's suffering from almost all the same problems that Spider-Man 3 had.
Yep.
Where that there's way too much going on, and there's not enough movie to hold all of it. There's too many villain plots. There's too many individual plots with Spider-Man himself, and everything just kind of gets a lot really cluttered.
They 100% Spider-Man 3 this whole thing, where you're just like, okay, if Spider-Man 3 was just about Sandman, or it would have been awesome.
Or fucking Green Goblin becoming James Franco becoming Green Goblin.
Yeah.
Or just Venom. It'd have been fine.
Well, not for me. It would have been. Because I fucking hate
Topher Grace?
No. No.
Toby Venom?
No, Toby Venom.
It'd have been fine there. And that's the same I feel with this one. I'm like, if you just
would have focused on Electro
stuff, all the Harry Osborn stuff.
They could have introduced Harry and been fine.
Introduce Harry because you need to, because he just shows up at the start of this movie and he's like, Peter, my lifelong friend.
Sorry, I've been at boarding school for 11 years, but
Yeah,
we're still friends, right?
And by the way, Harry Osborn and everything related to the character in this, by far the worst part of the movie.
Well, I hate the guy playing him. He looks like a fucking little emo twat.
He's terrible. His acting's bad.
Do you understand what he's saying half the time? Because he mumbles a lot.
Yeah, he mumbles a lot. His motivation makes no sense. The makeup job on him is terrible.
Didn't he look like Topher Grace at the end? If you remember what he looked like?
He looks pretty bad. There's nothing about this character is good. Like, he has one kind of okay scene that I won't mention just because it's spoilers, but basically everything about this guy is just, like, dragging down the movie the whole way through. Jamie Foxx's Electro is okay. He's not amazing.
My problem is I like them because remember when we saw the pre-shots before the movie came out, so we saw what Electro looked like, and he looked horrible because we were like, well, hopefully they put CGI on him. Why'd you have to paint him blue if they were going to put CGI all over him?
I don't know.
For close-ups or something, but it didn't make any sense after what you see what he looks like in the movie. But I don't buy him as an engineer, but I buy him as Electro.
When he becomes Electro, he becomes a lot more interesting and cool. They kind of had to set him up.
He doesn't actually become interesting with Electro until after the meeting in Central Park, or not. But yeah. Anyway, this will be Spider-Man 2. Chris, you want to run down Spider-Man 2 for us?
Sure. Well, Spider-Man 2 continues the Mark Webb director-led trilogy, or quadrilogy, or quadrilogy, whatever the fuck. However many Spider-Man movies they're going to
Spider-Man-ish movies he's going to continue.
Yeah, so that they never have to revert the rights back to Marvel. With Andrew Garfield playing Peter Parker, aka Spider-Man, continues the story with Gwen Stacy. They're following the events of Spider-Man 1. Their relationship is a little bit of turmoil as Peter's kind of haunted by the ghost of Gwen Stacy's father.
Makes no sense, but
And
okay.
while this is happening, Harry Osborn returns to New York. Apparently, he's Peter's long lost friend, and he is now becoming the head of Oscorp while also simultaneously dealing with a horrible genetic disease that just killed his father. So he's trying to deal with that.
Spoiler alert, Chris!
While at the same time, Max Dillon, an unassuming electrician who works at Oscorp, unfortunately gets in an accident and becomes the supervillain Electro. At the same time as there's a Russian gangster in the city who is destroying things.
Trying to steal uranium.
Who's trying to steal uranium, and he
By
has
the way,
a
that
really
scene.
bad accent.
Yeah, by the way, that scene, they'd all be dead.
There's so many moments where he T-bones a car where like Spider-Man just swings by and it's like everyone
Central Park, but
Times Square.
Times Square.
Yeah.
Because that's where he gets like the voice and the rage and the anger. After that, he's good. He's all right. But before that, he's just like very meh and unassuming and boring.
I kind of like it though, just because it's different than what we've seen in a lot of these superhero movies. We generally don't get the kind of quiet, reserved guy who becomes the villain only.
Yeah, but I can't see Jamie Foxx as that guy.
Yeah, well, you could say that about a lot of the casting in this movie, where you're just like, I don't really see it in this guy. Why didn't you just get someone with?
It's like Andrew Garfield. I buy him 100% as Spider-Man. As Peter Parker, not at all. He's too pretty to be Peter Parker.
He is definitely one of those things where you're just like,
How is he
too fucking attractive and intelligent and smart to be the fucking everyman?
How are you the social outcast when you do everything? I mean, you're popular in school somewhat. You know, they show in the first movie they show no conflict with him at school except for one thing from I think that was Flash Thompson. Mm-hmm. We don't see anything that makes him. I almost called him Tobey Maguire.
That makes him Peter Parker. That makes him this outcast. That makes him the relatable everyman.
And that's the one thing I don't buy from him. That and I hate his hair.
Also, it's a little. I mean, this is something that I wasn't crazy about in the first Iron Man Spider-Man.